2021, and I'm beginning a journey entitled Morning Marine. I was born in 1954 in Phoenix, Arizona, Good Samaritan Hospital. I was raised by a Marine, United States Marine, World War II, lost both legs at Okinawa Beach, and a mother who was nothing more than a caregiver for my father. This story is going to take us through 1954 to present day 2021 and all of my experiences with being raised by a Marine, my enlistment in the United States Coast Guard, and my experience in the military during the Vietnam Air War, and continue on through some very interesting experiences through all my interaction with Marines, military agencies, the United States government, local government, and a lot of different crazy things. I went through my life as a child raised with my father. I'm going to touch base with detailed experiences. Have one brother. Actually lost a brother early on. My family moved from Moberly, Missouri to Arizona in 1953. I'm the only one in the family born in Arizona, so I'm a native Arizonan. I'm coming to you from a remote location in the Southwest Desert. Boy, that's a tip. I will probably just use first names mostly through my experiences to protect everybody. I'm going to try to go three days a week on this for about 20 minutes. We do have some local sponsors. We have Drew Brew as one of our sponsors. Morning Marine is also allowing feedback on Facebook at Morning Marine is the site. Feel free to mention any concerns, any questions you may have, and I will attempt to answer them as often as I can. Well, 1954, Good Samaritan Hospital, born to Donnelly Brooks Lawrence and Joseph Ernest Lawrence. Grew up, you know how everybody's childhood, especially the older you get, it's a little bit blurry, but it was a good childhood. It was a firm leadership childhood with a Marine who went through some very embattled disabilities as a double amputee of both legs from the knee below. I had an older brother. I still have an older brother, 3 years older, Jeff Lawrence. And it's been an up and down relationship as it was when we were kids, but at 66 and 69 years old, respectfully, we'll get by. But I grew up in Phoenix at 7th Avenue and Glendale in that area, and had an above ground pool. And my dad was very creative, had some wild experiences with different animals. Somebody asked me the other day, are you going to be able to remember your first dog's name? Of course I can. It's a German Shepherd named Val. I still have a German Shepherd. But as I go through this story, we'll touch base on early Phoenix was a different city. Now in 2021, the city of Phoenix is kind of a mess. That's why I'm kind of staying in a remote location. I went through my childhood, basic everybody's childhood, did Boy Scouts, went to the Y, went to church, all that other stuff. When I got out of Maryland Elementary School, my parents had an idea that, and by the way, when I was in elementary school and I grew up, even though my father had lost both legs, he was very instrumental in my participation in extracurricular activity. Coach baseball team, out shoots hoop with you, all sorts of things. Guy had a pretty good set shot. When you're in a wheelchair, it's pretty set. And that's where I got my humor from my dad, of course. As we were kids, we would celebrate Christmas, and Christmas was exchanging of gifts. Kids, we'd always have Tonka truck. We'd have everything. As we got older, my brother and I decided to give my dad swim fins for Christmas. Man had no legs. Gave him a pair of high top tennis shoes. He threw them back at us and said he needed a 2.5 foot high top. That's where the humor comes from. You can laugh. I know you guys can. But at any rate, when I graduated from Maryland Elementary School, I would have gone to Washington High School and ended up, my parents wanted to give the academic experience a try. Remember this, it's 1968. A lot of stuff went down. I'm going to try to watch my language, but we'll see what happens. A lot of things had gone down between. So 1968, they enrolled me in Brophy College Preparatory. A baptized Protestant. They're going to send me to a Catholic high school. 14 years old, kind of radical, 1968. Think of the times. And I did. I went to Brophy. I'll tell you 2 things I learned at Brophy. I learned how to steal wine out of St. Francis priest's back room, drink in oleanders, and smoke cigarettes and weed. Not a bad plan at 14. So after a year and a half at Brophy, I asked my parents if we could give the public school a try because theology and I weren't getting along real well. So and this is before all the bad stuff on the Catholic Church came up. So it was pretty big. My parents were involved in a Jesuit group production called the Brand New Day was the name of the group. They were on the Smothers Brothers show back then. And this is all from a man, my father, a Marine that lost both legs. And I tell you what, that guy got around better than me sometimes. If you ever saw the show Ironsides, I was the Mark Slanger, the guy who pushed Ironside around. That was me and my dad. My brother and my dad, they butted heads because he wanted to do the long hair thing and play in a band and all of that. But at the time, that 60s was a crazy time. There was a lot of stuff going on. So I'm gonna cut this. I'm about 8 minutes and 8.5 minutes into this. Before I go, I get any further. I want to recognize on this Memorial Day all those ladies and gentlemen that have given their life for our country. I was fortunate enough to get in the United States Coast Guard. My next time I'm on the air, I will be reviewing my time in the Coast Guard. I was introduced to some very, very life-changing experiences. But we're gonna go to Brophy. I'm at Brophy. I'm a 14-year-old in Phoenix. Lived at 7th. For those that know, I lived at 15th Avenue in Glendale, Lamar, right there. New hood back then. My dad was so wise with his 100% disability that he would have. This is 68. Every house he built, they had to build for him because they had to have wider doorways, wider hallways. His wheelchair. So every 3 years he would, or I'd say 3, but every few years he'd have the Veterans Administration build him a home. And believe me, as a kid, I'm sitting back, I'm learning. This man is very, very instrumental in my life. I pushed him. I was there with him all the time. So he built a new home at 15th Avenue in Glendale, Lamar, actually. Still standing to this date, and which kept me, had me in the Maryland and Maryland Elementary School and Washington High School District. So at 14, I would go out on a Friday night and leave at that point and go all the way downtown to Brophy to St. Francis to watch what they called Keno dances. Everybody'd hang out. We'd steal liquor from our parents and show up there and have somebody buy liquor for us. 14 at Brophy. And drink and smoke cigarettes, and smoke weed, and go in and listen to the band. Most of the time playing was the Spiders, which was a very first band for Alice Cooper. Rock and roll. That's at 14 years old, an experience at Brophy. And right now, if you were to walk, you would not walk from 15th Avenue and Glendale to Central Avenue and Highland. No, you wouldn't do it. City's gotten way too big. A diverse population, and I ran at 14 years old. I ran with my brother who was 16, 17. So he had a car, he drove, but all my bubs and I would cruise down the back alleyways to Highland and Central. It's different times back then than now. And the influence of my father being a United States Marine and the discipline that I acquired from him. And it's wild because my brother didn't want anything to do with him. He was a hard-ass Marine, discipline. On the other hand, 3 years younger, I took heed to that and listened, and it was very beneficial. As you'll see, as I go down my road, I'll mention Marine influence. The interesting part about all of this is Phoenix was a different city. Society was different. My upraising was phenomenal. You read about the abuse and some things like that are going on in society now, and it didn't happen. We were disciplined with a belt. We got whacked on the ass with a belt. We even tried sometimes to even put a book in our pants so it wouldn't hurt. It didn't work. It didn't help at all. And that was pre into elementary school. Father was very supportive, but very firm. Every house we had built, we had a pool in it. So we did cleaning, lawn mowing. We took care of the grounds. My father was a very good leader at that by demonstration, leader by example, I would say. So, if you think about Phoenix in 1960s, with everything going on, the assassination of President Kennedy, I know right where I was. I was in a fourth grade elementary room. The things that happened through those times to my actually till current day. You look at what's going on in the United States now. Who do you have? You got Biden as a president. Okay, we went through Trump, we went through Biden, we went through Obama, or we're in the middle of Biden and Obama. You've got to look through that and don't take the politics of it all. Take care of you and apply what they are going to require from society. Apply that and know how to work that to your benefit. If that makes any sense. But you take the rules you're given and work them to your benefit. I'll get into that more as we go along, and you'll see how I take some of the regulations and know how to. There's a lot of gray area. We're going to do that for quite a while, and I really hope that I get some comments on Facebook at Morty Marine. I'm going to send this out to my friends on my list. I do have to acknowledge the Marine emblem behind me, the cross swords. They come from a 5 Purple Heart recipient from the Vietnam War named Michael Charles Walsh. Passed away. On his deathbed, he asked me to take care of his wife, and I'm thinking I've justly done so for him. That goes right back into the Marines. I mean, you got to respect. You respect the Marine. I'll tell some stories about Coast Guard, my experience in the United States Coast Guard, and my interaction with the United States Marine Corps. Some good, some not so good. And some stories from Michael Walsh, my Marine buddy. And probably not many coasties from World War II. No stories from my dad. But the one thing when I did enlist in the military that my father did tell me, you aren't going in the Marine Corps. 18 wouldn't let me go. Well, we're about 17 minutes into this right now, and we're going to take a commercial break. I'd like for everyone to tip a bottle to the sky on this Memorial Day and think of Drew Brew as your favorite brew. We have a strong American ale and a Canadian. Not bad. Okay, now back to the show. I am very humorous. You may see dogs. I may have guests in here. I know a couple of local musicians that are from the Valley, that grew up in the Valley, that can share some stories, maybe play some tunes, maybe. This is the first gig. I'm hoping I can operate this to add on to it. That's the hard part. We'll get this going, and I think I just pause it and want to thank everybody for being here, and I look forward to your comments. Once again, the site is Morning Marine, and I'm coming to you from a remote location in the Southwest Desert. I think I turn it off now. I'm going to end it.